sports fans. In this final segment, I'm going to be sharing my predictions for the Lions this season in more detail, especially with all the transactions and now the first injury report of the season, as well as what I think is going to happen in tomorrow's game on the whole. As some of you may know, but for those of you who haven't, if you look at the comments section of the previous episode, I believe it is, I've already shared my Super Bowl prediction, and you will find it there. However, in terms of the Lions this season, and I think I'll start with, I will start with the season, and then I'll go to tomorrow's game. I don't expect this to be a terrific season for the Lions. I've said pretty much that before. They're not where they need to be a playoff team, so I hate to rain on every Lions fan, but you already know I've said, if you've been listening to this show, that I don't believe the Lions are going to make the playoffs, and I'm standing behind that. In terms of where I think they're going to be in the division, it's hard to say. Obviously, the Packers and the Vikings, I would say, are going to determine who finishes first and second. And not knowing what the Dalvin Cook situation is, it's really hard for me, especially if he doesn't play for the Vikings anytime soon, to go with them. But I'm leery of the Packers' defense as well. They did win the division last year, however, but the Vikings, I think, took a bigger step upward. But still, without Dalvin Cook, I don't see them winning the division. So I'm going to say it like this. If the Vikings have or manage to sign Dalvin Cook within the first 5 weeks of the season, I think the Vikings will win the division. If they don't, I think the Packers will. And whichever one of those teams doesn't finish first will finish second. There's no question in my mind that it's going to be close between the Lions and Bears, I think, to see who finishes third. But I don't see the Lions as being there. The Bears had a top 10 defense last year. The Lions have anything but one. And I'm a believer that defense still wins championships. And with that having been said, unfortunately, Lions fans, I see the Bears finishing third. So how far behind the Bears are the Lions going to finish then, if they're going to finish last? I would say reasonably no more than 3 games. And with any luck at all, they might finish ahead of the Bears. But since I only see them winning 6 games this year, and the Bears will win, I think, 8, maybe 9 games if they do really well, I would say 6 wins would be the tops for sure. So unfortunately, I don't have any more good news than that, but except for this. Tomorrow's game, I do think it's a winnable game for the Lions. I did see this at the start of the season, especially when I looked at their schedule, as being a winning game, or a game that they could win, rather. I still believe that. I'm a little concerned, though, now that they have injuries to their offensive line, and particularly to their newly acquired tackle in Mr. Vaitai. With him not being able to play, that's going to be a real problem for them. And not having one of their tight ends is starting to chip away at their depth before they even played a down this season. And since Matt Stafford and his coming back from his injury is unknown, Kenny Galladay's an unknown, Danny Amendola is somewhat of an unknown. That's quite a few unknowns for me to want to go out on a limb and still think the Lions are going to win tomorrow. However, I will say it like this. If Kenny Galladay gets 100 yards receiving tomorrow, I think the Lions win. I think if he gets any fewer than 5 receptions, and even if he has 5, I'll say, I don't think they will. They need a big game from Kenny Galladay unless they just run the ball for 250 or 300 yards. They still are going to need production from him. They still need to control the clock in order to beat the Bears. And that's just the way I see it. Because as I said, Mitchell Trubisky is already good for 3 touchdown passes. The Lions are going to have to find a way to counter that. And the only way they can counter it is with ball control and running. And short of that, they're going to need a certain amount in terms of passing, and that's going to be Kenny Galladay leading the receiving corps to be sure. And that will do it for the premiere episode of the Detroit Lions tomorrow. Next Saturday, I will preview the Lions' second game of the season. Stay tuned to Ed's Sports Channel. My name is Ed Moss. Have a good day, and goodbye for now.